Thank you very much. You've just seen what it looks like to be customer-centric. The other day I was up at Facebook in Silicon Valley and walking through that whole campus there at Facebook, all of this that we've just seen is going on. People are putting their hands up with new ideas. People are collaborating and talking together. People are leading the charge towards focusing on the customer. And I want to give you a little bit of a framework just in the next few minutes as a checklist that we people as salespeople and sales managers can actually use to build a strong personal customer culture. So we'll go through those things, and I have an opportunity also to talk briefly with your Managing Director, Dr. David Cook, here on stage, as well as 6 of your colleagues from the sales area. And we'll see from that discussion just what is going on inside Konica Minolta that really exhibits this customer centricity. Let's grab hold of our phones here. Probably some of you have got them in hand now, but your iPhone, your mobile phone, just pull that out of your pocket. And I'm going to ask people who have an Apple iPhone to put their hands up with the phone. There are a lot of you here, and I'm one of those. Now, hold your hand up if the next phone you're going to get is an Apple iPhone. Not many hands went down. Let's get those down now. What about the Samsung smartphone? Hands up. There are a few less there, but nevertheless, they're there. Drop your hand if the next phone, keep that hand up, drop your hand if the next phone you're going to get is a Samsung. A couple went down. So, what we're talking about here is customer advocacy, customer loyalty, reflects on customer retention, reflects on sales revenue growth, reflects on profitability. So why is Apple so profitable? Because of just what we've seen here. So just think about that situation. What's the difference physically really between an iPhone and a Samsung phone? Not much. And if there are differences, probably we don't know about those differences. We really are in a commoditized world where products can be duplicated. All aspects of the distribution system can be duplicated. Research and development, new products can be duplicated quickly, and they can be done at low cost. And oftentimes they can be done better by people coming in from outside your industry. So what differentiates us in a commoditized world? Well, it's not the product. It's usually not the price. It's usually not the distribution system. It's usually not the supply chain. But what is it? Well, it's the customer. And here is just a little bit of research taken a couple of years ago by Forrester, which asked companies, leaders of companies, are you customer focused? 91% of companies said yes, we are definitely customer focused, but only 10% of customers actually agreed with that. Now that is a huge gap between what the company thinks and what the customer actually thinks. What is that? That's an opportunity. And that's an opportunity for us in sales. The big difference that we can make is creating a culture of difference through the selling activity and through the connection with the customer, through the relationships that we actually develop short-term and long-term with customers. That's the difference. That's the difference. So this customer centricity thing is basically about culture. It's about what we do in our business in relation to customers, how we interact with customers, how we work with customers. Did you know that between 40% and 70% of customers leave companies because they don't believe that those companies or people in those companies actually care. It's not because they're dissatisfied with the product or even the service. They may be very satisfied with all of that, but it's because they believe that people in the organisation don't actually care. And I think Konica Minolta has a tremendous positioning around the idea of engaging with customers, and we care for customers. That fits perfectly into the research that's been done. So it's really around this mantra of what's best for the customer is best for the business. And if you have a lens of what's best for the customer is best for the business, and when you think about engaging with customers and making decisions in relation to customers, keep asking that question, am I doing what's best for the customer? Because we've found through research that that definitely ends up being best for the business. Our research has been global over the last 7 or 8 years, and you can see some of the companies shown here that are really world beaters in the customer culture that they've generated. Not only are they world beaters in customer culture, they are more profitable, they are growing faster, they're more valuable as companies. People who work in those companies are happier working there. There is a better workplace involved with those companies. People are going home from work, when they leave work, and oftentimes in places like Facebook, they might be working almost 24 hours a day. They love it so much, but when they go home, that reflects in their home life. So we looked at these companies, and to give you just one example of them, Lexus. Now, Lexus, we know, profitable, growing, has a great reputation. They, some years ago, recognised that what was important for them about the customer was it wasn't about the car. It was actually about the customer's journey. And on some occasions in Europe, when the car broke down with a family in it in the French Alps, they sent in a helicopter to bring that family out. It wasn't about the car, it was about the customer's journey. So if we think about this in relation to our customers, our business and government customers, our non-profit customers, it's about their journey. It's about their business journey. It's about their personal journey. Understanding all of that becomes a key part of developing a strong, personal customer sales culture. And I want to just show you quickly what's come out of this research. We found, and we could show through analysis, that these 8 things drive sales improvements and growth. They drive profit margins and profit growth. They drive innovation. They drive satisfied customers, retained customers. And of course, in the end, in the sales area, they're going to drive your commissions. There's a direct relationship between doing things around these 7 or 8 disciplines shown here, that will drive current and future business performance for you and sales performance in your particular area. And I just want to quickly touch on each of these 8, and then I'm going to talk to some of your colleagues here about this. Customer insight. That is all about understanding existing customers, our current customers. What are their needs? What do they like? What do they dislike? How can we add further value to them? And let me give you a couple of little personal examples. My first sales experience was working in a supermarket in the bread department. Now, there's not really much sales involved there, but you can actually get some insights. And I remember in this particular department of bread, it was in Sainsbury's in London, my very first job in sales, you might say, or close to the customer. I had all of these customers coming in. They seemed to be very short people. They weren't physically very high. And I remember asking one very short lady, why did you select that particular bread? And she said, because I can't reach that one up there. Now, immediately we have an insight from that. Well, what does that mean? What can we do about that? How can we help all these short customers? They don't really want those there, they want those up there. My next experience was actually in the furniture removals business. And we started a business here in Sydney, an international furniture removals, based purely on a customer insight. and it was with the Greek community who wanted to go back home to Greece and take everything with them. And the one insight that we had about that was that they wanted to pack all of their belongings themselves. The whole industry was based around professional packing. And that one insight transformed that industry, because in our business we said, well, let's provide a U-pack service. Now, this is customer insight. Customer foresight is about future customers, future customer needs. The Virgin Group has a saying that says, there's always another way. There's always an alternative. There's always a better way. There's always something more we can do. That's about understanding what's coming up in the future. That's customer foresight. Competitor insight here on this chart is about understanding from the customer's point of view what their alternatives are. Don't assume that the classic competitors that we have are necessarily the things that they have in mind as the alternative to your product or service. So think about that. What can I do to understand more about the competitive environment currently? And then foresight is about future competitors. Think of what's happened to the taxi industry with Uber. A future competitor coming in, blindsided, decimated the traditional industry. Think of what's going to happen when the Tesla cars that are becoming part of the fleets of some of the smaller players in providing transport for passengers and so on. What happens when they become self-drive or driverless? What's that going to do to the industry? This is about competitive foresight. It's also about peripheral vision. Peripheral vision, like in our line of sight, is being able to take a wider picture on all of this and understand what are the forces on our customers' business that are affecting the value that they are getting from us and will get from us in the future. We have then three internally oriented things there. You'll see empowerment is one of those. And empowerment is really the ability to solve a customer's problem. You know, up just north of Sydney here, there's a place called Chateau Elan, which is a resort on a golf course. You can go and stay there in the Hunter Valley, in the wine area just north of Sydney. And they have a saying in there, consider it done. So you might be asking somebody just walking across the property there, you know, I'm going to need a taxi to take me to the airport in the next half hour. Can you organise? Consider it done. It's not that person's responsibility to actually do it, but they say consider it done. They will get it organised. They'll get it done. That's empowerment. So think about what you need to do to become more empowered in solving the customer's problem. Collaboration, working together. How good are your relationships within your business with the people that matter, that can really help you create more value for your individual customer and for your groups of customers? You need to build not only your external network of customers, and value for those customers, but you need to build your internal network and take a proactive approach to collaborating with people you need to collaborate with to create more value for customers. Strategic alignment, the eighth one there, is really about using the values, the strategy of the business, the whole mission and vision and what we stand for, what our purpose is, for helping a customer decide they're going to use us or they're going to buy more from us. So those 8 things are things that we have found that drive sales growth. And if you do those things, you'll find it'll drive your sales growth. It'll drive your revenue growth that comes out of that. We've seen that from research.